Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our commission meeting. City Clerk, call a roll, please.
Good evening. Commissioner Castillo?
Here.
Vice Mayor Good?
Here.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Here.
Commissioner Seifel?
I'm here.
Mayor Ordus?
Here.
City Manager Dodge?
Here.
City Attorney Gorin?
Very glad to be here. Thank you very much.
We have a quorum.
Welcome back. Can we have our Pledge of Allegiance, please? Vice Mayor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to take a moment of silence, if we could, for a longtime resident of Pembroke Pines, Carl Quiet. He passed away on February the 8th. He resided at Park Place and a long time at Century Village. So let's just give a moment of silence for Carl, please. Thank you.
Mayor, if I could, Carl was passed away at 95. I attended his funeral along with his 3 children, his wife Joan, and his 8 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. It was an amazing event, a testament to a life extraordinarily well lived. World War II veteran, loved his city, loved his family, and was the vice president at Coupa for security issues, in addition to being the president of his buildings. And he was a beautiful guy. It was great always to be around him, and he will be dearly missed. I thank you, Mayor, for bringing that up.
Thank you, Commissioner.
He would have been very, very pleased. Carl was an elected official in one of the cities, the small towns that he lived in New Jersey. And he, for many years, lived in Grand Palms before he moved to Century Village. He will be sorely missed. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to remind everyone, you should have all gotten notice of these. It's all over the city's website. Our next Raising Positive Children Forum is virtual again, and it will be on February 24th. You can go on the city's website, and you will have a link to go right into be able to view the event. We had an outstanding panel of presenters. We actually had a high school teacher. We had a high school student. We had a number of psychologists. We had 2 of our PDs on the panel, giving their input into this whole social media. The title of this forum was Social Media and Its Impact on Youth Mental Health, which we all know has been, quite problematic now for a few years. And so, again, I am very proud of my city for not only allowing this to happen in our city, but also being so supportive of it happening in our city, and always, taking the forefront on it. So, Mr. Dodge, thank you, and thank everybody for participating. The other thing, Mayor, is we had February 14th, we had, again, well, we actually took it inside because it was a bit windy, the Msd Candlelight Vigil, which, again, was a very beautiful event, and supported by the city for us all to come together to, in our own way, to remember and to give our thoughts and our prayers to those families, not just the 17 that were murdered, but also the 17 others and all of their families that are still struggling with what happened on that day. And so for all of us, while the February 14th, Valentine's Day, was always a day of happiness and love and all of that, it certainly has taken on a different mindset. And while you can still enjoy your February 14th, please don't ever let it go out of your mind or your heart what happened to those families. And just a quick little prayer for them is always so very, very, very appreciative.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Well, Mayor, I have one other thing that I
You
just
said you only had one thing.
I just got a text message, Mayor, from my grandson. I have a grandson down in Key West who played football at Key West High School. who's graduating this year. His name is Alex Rodriguez. You might call him A-Rod. Kind of a cute,
Wow.
yeah, kind of a cute name. I just got a text from him that he just took his oath and he will be joining the Marine Corps
Wow.
when he graduates from
Congratulations.
school. So while Grandma is having palpitations here about it, Grandma and Pop are still very, very proud of him and the young man that he is and the young man that he will become with the Marines. So what do we say for Marines? Tom? Semper Fi. And Ouya? Ouya, it's a good one. So anyway, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for that.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Thank you, Mayor. Yesterday was 10 years that I had the honor of being sworn in to this dais and to be able to serve the public. And I want to take the opportunity to first thank the city staff, police, fire, the entire city administration for always working hard and just doing what they do best every single day. Certainly, Mayor, the last 10 years have been, quite a journey for the majority of us up here. There's been a lot of positive things. I think Positive Children has to be one of the greatest moments. Seeing Commissioner Seipel get recognized at the Florida League of Cities for the program, and I'm looking forward to supporting you, Commissioner, seeing this thing go statewide. Here on the dais, we're tasked with the duty of bringing ideas to the table. Some ideas are brought forward from the dais, others are brought forward by the public, but they're always brought forward with good intentions. And every once in a while, as I had mentioned 2 weeks ago, we just have people who are misinformed and are just quite ignorant. There was a next door post that occurred out in the southwest portion of the city where residents, let's just say, didn't agree with the idea of having a yearly trash bill. So one resident took it a step further and wanted to know, speaking of me, why didn't Hitler kill this bastard? And two people, one in Grand Palms, another in Chapel Cove, actually loved the comment. Now, being a 51-year-old man, I've experienced anti-Semitism my entire life. This isn't news to me. But Mayor, we've worked so hard. Kindness event, again, this occurred, 3 days before the kindness event. We've worked incredibly hard with raising positive children. But the political discourse, the public discourse that's going on in our nation has gotten to the level where the FBI just last week reported that there were 75 death threats on public officials this year. At what point is society going to wake up? So I want to thank the city manager for supporting my efforts. I'll be hosting a town hall in April, and it's going to be a very candid conversation because we have to get better. You want to make me the poster child of hate, go for it. It's not going to bother me. But it bothers me when children act out. So the individual who made these comments is actually continuing on, and just so the individual knows, yes, the law enforcement was notified. But when it comes to what we do up here, I don't think integrity should ever be questioned. And I also don't think elected officials, they should never say that the only time they tell the truth is when they're in the courtroom or on the dais. Because when you are a part of the misinformation and the vileness you disgrace the title of being a public servant. So, Mayor, it is my hope that the town hall I'll be hosting with a very good, I'll be bringing more information forward, but I invite the public to come. It's going to be held at the River Grass in the middle of April. Date is still, we're working out the time on that, but it's going to be in the middle of April. And certainly, it's a conversation that this city needs to have, and Mayor, we're going to lead from the front. And we're going to change the conversation here in South Florida and the rest of the world. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to also recognize Paul Smith and the firefighters. Why are you here tonight? Welcome. That was a joke. Welcome, guys. They smiling?
Yeah, they're.
Okay, good. Paul's bigger than I am.
Don't take it left hand.
All right, we have a proclamation for a wonderful citizen that helped our city for a number of years. John Jacob, would you come forward, please? Good evening, family. Thank you for years of service. I know you had a little health problem and you had to get out of the service, but you've given us a number of years and we appreciate that. So I wanted to make we wanted to give a proclamation of the city of Pembroke Pines to John Jacob. Whereas John Jacob was born in 1941 and is married to Carol Jean Jacob. He is the father of 3 children, William, Donna, and John III. He has 4 grandchildren, Casey, Amanda, Samantha, and Cameron, and 1 great-granddaughter, Everly. Both of John's sons served in the Pembroke Pines Police Department admirably and for a long time. Whereas John and Carol moved into the city of Pembroke Pines in 1978 from the city of Hialeah. They have lived in the Pembroke Pines neighborhood for over 43 years. And whereas John is a military veteran, having served in the United States Air Force from 1961 to 64. And whereas John earned his Associates of Arts degree from Miami-Dade Community College and his bachelor's degree in Business Administration from Florida International University. And whereas John joined Florida Power and Light in 1965 and worked for the energy company for over 40 years. That's where I lobbied him on behalf of the city. Earning their Pioneer Awards in 1989. And whereas John and his family are longtime Pembroke Pines residents who have contributed greatly to our community. Whereas John has performed a lifetime of service in our community. He served as an early member of the Pembroke Lake Homeowners Association, served as both an officer and president of the group. He was manager for the Pembroke Lakes newsletter. He volunteered at Memorial Hospital West and was recognized for his 10 years of service. He attended the Citizens Police Academy, June 1995, and Federal Bureau of Investigation Citizens Academy, December 2009. He also volunteered as a parking enforcement specialist and Citizens on Patrol within the police department. He sought to serve the city in an elected capacity, running for office in 1986 and again in 1996. Most notably, John has served on the city's development boards, including the Board of Adjustment, Planning and Zoning Board. Over his 30 years as a board member, he has helped to shape the development of our beautiful, great city. Now, therefore, I, Frank Ciordas, Mayor of the greatest city in the world, Pembroke Pines, on behalf of the City Commission, hereby extend my sincere appreciation to John Jacob for his years of dedicated service to the Pembroke Pines. Congratulations, John.
Thank you very much. That's very nice of the city to do that and for you to.
Well deserved.
Well, we know we were running against each other for a time. I know, twice you won. But that's okay. You're still a good guy.
Thank you.
But I didn't realize all of this till I started drinking it out, lifting it out. Oh, wow, it was a lot of stuff. And
You did well.
the really thing that I was really liked about it was going away in other cities, doing things. and going to Washington, going to the FBI guy, the FBI place up there. They took us out there, showed us through all that stuff. And I just wish the city would do some things again. And then you didn't pay for it, we paid it. You had to pay your own. But people would pay to get doing stuff like this, especially.
We'll look into it.
It's really some great stuff. Okay, and anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations to the family. Thank you. I sprained my leg.
Yeah, me too.
Getting old is not fun. No.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Mayor, we have some things for John.
Oh, hi, Commissioner.
I just wanted to say, John, thank you so much. John has been my appointee to the P&Z board for a long time. For a very long time, and it was always a pleasure to work with you and to call you, prior to meetings when the agenda would come out, if we had questions, if I had questions about a particular item, or if you had questions, about certain things, certain items, and we would kind of try to, talk about what the item was. And sometimes, I know you said, a lot of times you would actually go to the location and look around so that you had a better understanding of what was being, requested. And I always thought that was, was very, very admirable for you. And so I just want to thank you again for, your commitment to the city, for, twice a month, every month, coming to meetings and being prepared, because you were always very, very prepared, and I think that's hugely important. And so I just really wanted to say thank you. And it's going to be kind of tough to find your replacement. I'm looking around, but you set a pretty high standard, so I'm looking. No, but thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
John,
Commissioner Schwartz, did you want to say something?
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
John, thank you. Thank you for being a friend to Pembroke Pines. You're being a part of the Planning and Zoning Board. The amount of vision, you've taken our city to another level. The way of life 20 years from now is going to be based on the decisions that you made. And honestly, I can't think of a more deserving guy of a proclamation like this. You did leave off the fact that he's a pilot, Mayor, so we got to make sure we get that one in there. But John, whatever you need. I mean, it's I know that the P&Z board is a lot of time. Yes, always prepared. But if there's something you want to do, don't hesitate to reach out, because I know you want to stay involved in some kind of capacity. Okay. You'll be on this side and give us help. Okay. Thanks so much, John.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
I have another proclamation to read, and it's about a proclamation declaring February 2022 as American Heart Month in the city of Pembroke Pines. Mayor and City Commission urges the community to join a battle against heart disease. Deputy Mayor Jacqueline Guzman is listening to our meeting as she was unable to attend. Deputy Mayor, good evening. She on? Okay. This is American Heart Month. Whereas the first proclamation was issued by President Lyndon B. Johnson in February 1964, 9 years after he had a heart attack. Since then, February has been declared American Heart Month. And whereas heart disease kills over 600,000 Americans a year, which is the highest cause of death, higher than all forms of cancer combined. And whereas heart disease affects all ages, genders, and ethnicities. Risk factors include high cholesterol, high blood pressure, smoking, diabetes, and excessive alcohol use. Whereas 83% of Americans believe that heart attacks can be prevented but aren't motivated to do anything, while 73% of Americans don't consider themselves at risk for heart disease, and 58% put no effort into improving their heart health. And whereas American Heart Month is observed to raise awareness on the importance of a healthy heart and to encourage healthy habits that help reduce the risk of heart disease. The warning signs for heart disease have been known to appear when people are as young as 18 years old. Red flags such as high blood pressure should be taken seriously, and healthy habits should be adopted, like getting 30 minutes of exercise every day, and talking with your doctor to develop healthy eating habits that promote heart health. And whereas the first Friday of February is National Wear Red Day in the United States, it's your chance to raise awareness by staying active, eating healthy, and watching your weight, all while your favorite red outfit. And whereas the City of Pembroke Pines would like to recognize City of Sunrise Deputy Mayor Jacqueline Guzman, a two-time heart attack survivor, for her continued advocacy to encourage the Broward County community to join the battle against heart disease. Now, therefore, I, Frank C. Ortiz, Mayor of the City of Pembroke Pines, along with the City Commission, do hereby proclaim the month of February 22nd as American Heart Month in the City of Pembroke Pines. Let's make an impact together and save lives. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, if you're on. All right.
Mayor?
Yes.
I just wanted to say that it's Heart Month, February's Heart Month, and Vice Mayor actually had an item on some time ago about coloring up our buildings with lights, and I think you actually brought it on for Alzheimer's, and then we sort of added to it and added others on. So for those of you that are driving through our city at night and you see a building that's purple or red or blue or some of the other colors green, you will know that it is because the city is recognizing during that month whatever that particular item would be, whatever disease or issue is being honored. So when you see those, you know, just think about what those colors stand for, and the city again being very supportive and forward on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, for that.
Yep, good one.
All right, announcement items to be pulled from the agenda. Item 9 is being pulled. Item 16 is being pulled. Now we have our consent. Oh, we got a commission audit report first. City Clerk.
No commission auditor
All
report.
right,
Mayor.
appeals of board and adjustment decisions.
No appeals, Mayor.
Items at the request of the public.
No items, Mayor.
And how about announcement of board and committee appointments?
No announcements at this
All right,
time.
our agenda, our consent agenda, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm gonna pull, 11 for discussion, but
Number
can I have a
6,
second on that?
number 6, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Item 6.
That's been pulled.
Like, oh, Vice Mayor?
No, item number 14, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
14?
Yep. All right, did I have a motion for the rest of them that I read? Moved by Commissioner Schwartz, second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner, Seipel. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes do have it. All right, let's go right to our item. Item 6, Commissioner Seipel.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Motion to ratify the city manager's approval of the Second Amendment to the agreement between the City of Pembroke Pines and Basin Corporation, DBA A&B Towing Services, extending the agreement to July 31, 2022.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Castillo. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I had some discussion with city manager about this item, and it was my understanding that they were asking for an extension, for this to be extended, because when the RFP went out, there were two items that it was not very clear as to what was being asked for, and what I was told was one was the number of cars that are able to be stored on the property, and then the other part was the actual square footage of storage, available storage. And so I guess one or more would have answered in one way, and there was a different response on the other part of the question, so it was kind of unclear. And by it being two different things, I guess it was a little hard to figure out apples and apples, or to be able to compare. So what I thought, and City Manager, if I'm not correct, please correct me on this, was that you were asking that it had already to go out, you're asking for us to ratify what you've done, to extend this for the 6 months, so that those were the two items that need to be clarified. So is City Manager, am I right on that? Did I understand you correctly?
City Manager?
Yes, that is correct, Commissioner.
Okay, so if that's correct, what I don't understand and I don't agree to is why it's going to take us 6 months to do this, why it could not be, if there's legal that's involved, and whatever that needs to be involved, because it is an RFP process, why can we not, instead of just immediately saying we're extending this to July 31, 2022, why could this not be put on a month-to-month basis for the clarification to happen?
City Manager?
Yes, I think Mr. Gomes can address it. However, we did ask for that from the vendor, and we did not get a positive response, and Mark can explain to you that conversation.
Mr. Combs?
Good evening, Mark Gomes, Procurement Director. My understanding is the Contracts Division, they discussed this item with the vendor. Since we were in the evaluation process and the contract was coming up for expiration, they reached out to the vendor. They asked them if we would be able to with a month-to-month contract on a month-to-month basis. And the vendors, from my understanding, would not agree to that, and they agreed between the two parties for a 6-month extension. When we are finished with the evaluation committee process, the agreement does have terms where we can implement the new agreement when we need to replace the existing agreement. So,
well, I'm a little bit confused then. I'm a little bit confused. The contract had ended.
So
we went out for bid, and if I remember correctly, what this commission said was that they were not looking for a sole vendor. We were looking for 2 or more, however it would play out, correct?
Sure.
Okay. So nothing, I don't understand how a vendor, and I don't have anything against the vendor at all. I'm talking
Sure. Process.
How a vendor tells us how we should run our program. I'm a little taken aback at that, quite honestly.
Mr. Gomes?
It's not like we're saying to them, we're not telling them they're disqualified, and nothing like that. There's nothing negative about this. What we're doing is going forward to try to give all the vendors to be on the same page with how they've responded to us. And there was that little bit of not so clear as to those two things that I brought up. So I don't understand how or why we would not be able to have, maybe legally, because I'm sure that legal will be involved with some of the language that has to
What's
be there.
your question, Commissioner?
Well, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I've asked it a couple times, but why are we not able to say, listen, we're working on this as quickly as we can. We all want to get it done and signed and everybody to go about their merry way with it. But why was it 6 months? Why was it not 3 months? Why was it not 12 months? Why was it whatever? And again, why was it not just on a month-to-month in order to give you, Mr. Gomes, your department, our legal, Mr. Dodge, everybody, the vendors, to be able to come in, answer the questions, everybody
Sure.
answering the same questions so that you can evaluate them properly and move forward. I just don't get this automatically going to 6 months.
Mr. Gomes, you have an answer?
Yeah, I think from the vendor side, their concern was there's certain costs with the agreement, like insurance and things like that they have to cover on their side. That's why they'd be covering month to month instead of a 6 month. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me as an answer. Okay, so yeah, that was the vendor's request, and that's what the Contracts Division worked out with the vendor at the time of renewal. Then, Mayor, I think maybe Mr. Dodge, Mr. Gomes just said that, that it was your request to do that, and I just want to be fair and understand
what, was that, did you have some reason that I'm not aware of that you wanted a 6-month as opposed to offering up a month-to-month on that?
Mr.
Well,
Dodge?
the code allows us to do a 6-month extension to contracts when there's an issue. However, we already gave 1 6-month, so I don't have the authority to do a second. That's why, number one, it's before you. Number two, the contract ends, so we do not have anyone to provide the service to us, nor do we have a contract with anyone else, and we're in a process of bidding. So we're reviewing those, but in the review of it, the one issue we said we need to get clarity on, that no one would come in and challenge us because one vendor bid based upon their ability to store vehicles based upon square footage, another one bid based on the number of vehicles they could hold. So we wanted to go back to all the bidders and say, we're going to ask you the question, the square footage and the number of vehicles you can hold, so then we can rank them that way. And then we'll begin the process. It certainly shouldn't take 6 months, but the vendor, I was advised, for whatever reason, is that they would not do it on a month-to-month basis.
Mr. Dodge, the contract that we are working under right now is from what time to what time? From what?
What's the date
date
it
to what date?
expires, Mark, I believe?
The current agreement that we're renewing right now?
The current
The
contract
6-month
that we are working
extension,
under right now?
when did the date of the 6-month extension expire?
I believe the previous agreement was expiring on January 28th, and it was a 6-month extension, so it's going to around the end of July.
Okay, so we have until July, which we have a valid contract that a company is providing service to us right now, correct?
No, what this action is doing is making it a valid to July 1. So we have this 6-month basis to do our evaluation and bring back a recommendation to the commission based upon commission action of saying we're going to rank them, we're going to have a library of services that would be available if they meet all the requirements of the bid specifications. And all what Mark was indicating was that if we get that done within 3 months, then we can exercise our provision to advise the vendor that effective in 30 days, we're opting to cancel the agreement.
Well, then would your language on this item, should it, and if that's what you're saying, that it may end up being done sooner than a 6-month, should your language here be, instead of saying extending the automatically extending the agreement until then, that it would be up to, putting language in there up to a 6-month, time?
Well,
that would give us the ability that if it happened sooner, it would happen sooner?
Commissioner, I'd like to defer to the city attorney because
Okay.
if the vendor, current vendor said they would not do it for any less than 6 months.
Let's find out. City Attorney?
And that's the issue.
Mr. Mayor, if I may briefly, it's a bit of a confounding problem because the commission, by extending the document, extending the agreement, has actually revived it so that you can have the service. It's a very necessary public service to have towing, obviously. And the debate and discussion that evolved over the past number of months on the subject, suggests that the commission was embracing the impact and importance of it. The city does get to control your own contract relationships. You're in a very unique situation where theoretically the manager would like very much to be able to say up to 6 months and do a lesser period. And certainly that is something the commission could direct. The problem is that we know today, based on what I'm hearing this evening, that there may be some resistance from the contractor or the vendor to even offer up something less than 6 months. That may be their request, but it may not be the commission's decision. So ultimately, you get to control the process.
I understand that maybe we should ask the vendor if they would reconsider.
We did, Commissioner, and their response to procurement was.
Is there a vendor here tonight that we could ask?
I have a solution.
Okay.
Oh, Commissioner Schwartz, hold on. All right, Commissioner Supple, you done?
Well, do we have a vendor here tonight that we could even ask a question of?
No.
No? No vendors here from the towing company?
No.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Gomes,
Yes.
how long has this vendor been servicing our city?
My understanding, probably around 25 years.
25 years of uninterrupted service. And they're basically telling us to go pound it. So I am prepared to give the manager the authorization to go out and find the replacement tomorrow under the charter. If we cannot fulfill a mutual agreement, then the manager can go out and contract with a plethora of vendors. This is not garbage. This is, we're talking about a service to pick up on an as-needed basis. Now, it may cost us a little bit more money, but that's the way it is. In my opinion, 25 years in the city, getting, 25 years in the city, and you're gonna tell us that you're not willing to extend a month to month because of a business decision. And it's not Mr. Gomes's, it's unfair to Mr. Gomes to even defend the vendor. This is not, Mr. Gomes and I, we had a very long and arduous conversation that I shared with the manager about why we're here. The manager has done, and the administration has done exactly everything that they had to do in order to get us to this point. Now there's a question about if a vendor says they can do 150 plus cars on the lot or 500 plus cars on their lot. Well, 500 plus or 150 plus does not answer the question for the evaluation committee. The evaluation committee individually has to go out to each of these locations to do their own evaluation. And we're talking about 5 points aside, a total of 10. Mr. Gomes is prepared to give all vendors the same question that's authorized and approved by the city attorney. In the meantime, if we actually have a contract in place, which, city attorney, we do not at this point, unless we say yes tonight. Am I correct on that?
You are legally correct in the context.
Okay, so we don't
of-
have a contract.
Wait, I'm sorry, city attorney, what was
Yeah,
that?
you're essentially extending, you're reviving and extending to the extent of maintaining the service level.
Right,
of
we're
the
termed
vendor.
out. Now, why it didn't come to us 2 weeks ago, okay, things happen. Okay, but essentially, we're out of contract. The manager can go out tomorrow and enter in terms and bring his emergency powers to this commission, and that gives him 180 days. Now, here's the best part about doing that. When it's no longer needed, he terminates it, and he doesn't need our approval for that. It's over like this, tomorrow. We don't have to give another 30 days of convenience, Commissioner Cycle. It's done, it's over with. We have a vendor in place, or a library of vendors in place. So I'm prepared, if someone wants to second my viewpoint, to move forward in making a motion to do just that. Thank you, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Mayor?
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes, thank you.
Through the manager, without objection, can I have Assistant Chief Bermudez, please?
Chief?
Carlos Bermudez, Assistant Chief of Police.
Chief, the Pembroke Pines Police Department is the contract manager for the towing service. It basically answers up through the police department on a day-to-day basis.
We use the A&B towing, yes, very often.
And your department had originally recommended that we renew the contract with this company because they've done an excellent job.
If I remember correctly, I believe Chief Shimpano did recommend that.
And the cost to the consumer, who would be the resident or the visitor in Pembroke Pines, who we hope should never need the service, but who may need the service, that cost is set by the county. The rates.
I'm sorry, say again?
The rates for the towing is set by the county. We don't set that cost. So no matter what we do in the RFP, no matter what we do in terms of juggling language and hurling it toward Mr. Gomes, who deserves our appreciation, throughout this ordeal. We're not gonna change the amount that people pay, or the nature of the service. There'll just be other people who you can call, which is something you didn't ask for, coming out of this discussion. The contract has, terminated. Now, you all need this towing service on a day-to-day basis, correct?
Yes, sir.
On call, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That is correct.
Are you recommending, as the Assistant Chief of Police in Pembroke Pines, that we extend this contract until whatever has to happen with this RFP happens?
Well, what I am saying is that we need tow service, so however that's going to come about, that's up to the commission to decide.
So you're gonna need a tow service under contract tomorrow.
That is correct.
Mr. Dodge, are you recommending that we approve this item?
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, on the item. Any further discussion? Call a roll, please. City Clerk.
On the main item.
On the item.
Commissioner Seifel?
On this item, not Commissioner Schwartz was making a motion.
There was no second.
Okay.
I never made a motion, I was looking for a second.
Okay, Commissioner Seifel.
No.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
No.
Commissioner Schwartz?
No.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes. So now that that's not approved, what do we do, City Manager?
I'm a little at a
You better
loss.
not get in an accident.
I'm not
City
sure,
Manager?
I'm not certain how the police department can handle, and what decision an officer can
It's
make
gonna be a problem.
in calling someone to tow a vehicle out of an intersection, because we do not have any company to do so.
City Attorney, legally, what are we gonna do?
Well, if I can, Mr. Mayor, I'm not the city manager and I'm not the city commission, but I'm just a lawyer who sits here and gives you the best advice we can. I don't choose for you, notwithstanding the good faith efforts of each of you to find a solution this evening, to put the city into a catastrophic legal position. And if you don't have a vendor in place tonight before you leave this meeting and something happens in the city that requires a vendor to provide that service and you don't have one because the manager hasn't secured one, I would not choose to put anyone under the bus legally, but there could be a catastrophic event where you don't have someone to provide that service.
This is
which
reckless.
I just say, what I can say is the catastrophic circumstances create liability, and that's the only thing I can expose on the record. I would not choose to go much further than that.
And how do we avoid that?
To consider the main motion before the commission with perhaps more debate, and perhaps even to suggest optioning the motion to include an up to language up to the 6-month period. It can be done for less. And if the vendor chooses not to perform, the vendor can tell you to basically have a nice day, which puts you in the same position we're in right now with nothing on the floor.
Mayor?
Commissioner Schwartz, Commissioner Seifel.
Thank you, Mayor. City Manager, this is a precarious position we're in. I full well understand that. And I full well understand that after midnight tonight, we need a service when we call for a service. I get that. I understand that. What I am very objectionable to is first when I asked, this is an item that has great importance to it. And when I asked, was there a representative from A and B here to even be able to answer a question if someone had a question, or if there was something else that was asked for, a change, that they would not be here to speak to that publicly, to be here in person representing their company. So I would suggest, Mr. Dodge, that maybe we try to contact them one more time. Maybe you get on the phone and you contact them. I think it's that urgent to be able to do that and to move forward with them, agreeing to something. And if not, get out your Rolodex and let's get a company. I don't like that. I feel like we're being pushed into a corner to make a decision like this, and that they are not willing, as a 25-year vendor partner with us in the city.
Point of
To be here.
clarification,
Let me finish what I'm saying, please.
point of
That
clarification.
they're not even
Hold on,
here to
Commissioner.
answer a question and be represented, knowing that this is such an important issue tonight.
Okay. Commissioner Castillo, point
Yeah.
of clarification.
I can understand that everyone has a point of view on this dais, but let's not misrepresent what other people have said. Through staff, that vendor has told us that they have an incapability of a month-to-month because of concerns that are very viable. There's insurance concerns, there are costs on their end. And just as we say we don't want vendors interfering in our business, vendors don't want us interfering in theirs. So let's not get into this whole thing of, you know, this vendor and demonizing vendors and all that kind of stuff. Let's just deal with the business of it. The police department needs a tow truck company. Period, end of story. This commissioner is going to make sure that the residents and visitors of Pembroke Pines have a service that we must by law provide to them. And that arcs miles over any other consideration. And if the best that we can do is 6 months, then that's the best that we can do. But if we walk out of this room tonight and we do not have a tow truck company servicing the city of Pembroke Pines, the single most reckless act this commission has ever committed will have been committed. And it will expose us to liability, and this is precisely why the state wants us not to act in arbitrary or capricious ways. They expect us to be able to separate issues and make solid decisions. So I'm going to continue to support the police department's recommendation that we have a vendor. And nothing about this surprises me. Nothing about this surprises me. This RFP made no sense to me from the very start. So I'd like to make a motion to reconsider and hope that we come to our senses here and do what's right for the residents and provide them with a tow truck company so that when they need us, they can have that service and we can fulfill our legal obligation. Motion to reconsider.
Point of parliamentary
Hold on,
procedure.
Hold on. Is there a second to the point of
He
reconsideration?
can't, Mayor.
Excuse me?
He's not on the prevailing side.
City Attorney, is that correct?
Yes.
I waive the rules and move to reconsider.
City Attorney?
The chair can accept the motion to waive the rules if the body would support that.
Accept the motion. There's a motion to reconsider. Is there a second? I'll second the motion to reconsider.
The motion to reconsider is properly on the
And let me just say
table.
one thing before we go on. Tomorrow, if we don't have a towing company, the city's in big trouble.
That's right.
So I just wanted to
Mr. Mayor,
make
if
that
I may
point.
speak, please.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor, but
Thank
we're gonna do something with this tonight.
Sure. So I don't share the same sense of urgency that others may share on this commission about not having a tow company. The law has changed dramatically. AAA will come out
Mm-hmm.
and take care of the car,
Point of
take care
clarification.
of whatever the vehicle.
Point of
may be.
clarification, Commissioner Castillo.
Mr. City Attorney, the Vice Mayor is making a legal opinion. Do you concur with that?
I can't, may I respond, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Well, it may be a factual and legal decision. I can't know on the dais whether AAA will come out or not, but if the Vice
Mr.
Mayor has
Gomes,
that
do you
information.
What's your advice to us in terms of what our legal exposure is?
I said, if I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
to the Commissioner and to the Commission, I use the word catastrophic only in the context of not knowing the possibilities of what could happen after 12 o'clock tonight. I don't know that. I'm just a lawyer, but sitting here, one of the things that we assess and we're required to assess and to advocate for our clients is to protect their interests. And I can't know what that will be after 12 o'clock as to who's going to pick up what and how and when. And I can't speak for the manager, but if he can't know the answer as to what to do and how to implement and operationalize the absence of the current vendor, I can't answer the question except to suggest it could be catastrophic.
Certainly no one will be able to say we're not on notice.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may have the
Hold
floor,
on.
Black.
Hold on. Mr. Gomes, can you come up?
Was the point of clarification made?
Would you, agree what was said about AAA could just come in and start towing?
Yeah, I honestly don't know that answer.
There's something wrong with your mic. I can't.
Sorry about that. Mark Gomes. I'm not sure what would occur. My understanding is that there might be a situation where an accident might happen and a person may be incapacitated. For the police department, I'm not sure what they would do if we did not have a vendor, if calling AAA or who would call AAA and if that's legally allowed. And
Point of clarification, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, may I have the floor back, please? I'd like the floor.
There was point of clarification I recognize.
Okay,
Vice Mayor.
and so I referenced.
Trying to do this lately.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Everybody has their own opinion. Vice Mayor, go ahead, a point of clarification.
I don't have a point, I just
What do
wanted,
you have?
I just wanted the floor back. So I referenced, AAA only because that's a company that does it. There's many companies out here that you call that will come out and do this service for you. So,
Vice Mayor, point of
I'm not
clarification on that.
overly,
AAA is a company.
Commissioner.
A and B.
Commissioner.
A and B tows
Commissioner,
AAA.
be quiet. The Vice Mayor is speaking, don't be rude.
I'm not being rude.
You are being rude, you're interrupting him.
I'm trying to clarify that,
Quiet, quiet. Don't let me have the police walk you out.
go ahead, Mayor, let's do it.
Commissioner
Let-
Schwartz,
Let's do it, let's do
please
it, let's get it
be
on.
quiet.
Let's do it, please.
Vice Mayor, go ahead.
so all I wanted to do was make a point that we're not in a dire straight situation come midnight. I will consider a reconsideration, providing that Commissioner Seipel's initial suggestion about the language be introduced into the item, and then allow that vendor to make that determination on whether they want to continue or not.
Okay, is it-
I'm willing to consider the reconsideration.
is there a second to
providing
that reconsideration?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, second by Commissioner
So
Seipel.
the reconsideration is already on the floor.
No, you just made another one. We're good, you just made another one.
Mayor,
Yes,
may I help you for a
Attorney.
moment here? The motion for reconsideration is to reconsider the item. That needs to be adopted by the commission so
Correct.
that the item can be discussed. and-
with an amendment.
That's correct. So the answer is that the vice mayor, after the reconsideration has been granted by the commission, has a suggestion with regard to what
Correct.
language might be offered to this vendor who appears to be resistant to the language that
And
was
that's on
discussed
the
earlier.
floor now.
Yes,
Okay.
just
Further
for
discussion.
clarification.
Sure, Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner Schwartz.
Okay. If cities have contracts with tow vendors, they get that contract. So if an individual just broke down on the side of the road, they will call AAA, and you know who shows up? The same vendor we have, and they get paid a different rate. That's how it works. Okay? That's how it works, and if the assistant police chief can confirm that, that'll be very helpful. I can tell you that many years ago, my wife was a dispatcher for AAA. You would call the card, you broke down in Vegas or California, and she would dispatch a company, not AAA, but whatever the local towing company was for that, servicing that area. That's how it works. It's not like it's, when you break down on I-95 and the State Farm guy comes in and gives you a half a tank of gas. That's a different program. Now, we can go back and forth about whatever language you want to put, but the vendor ain't here. So we walk out of here and they're still not going to take the deal. So you know where we are? In the same place we are right now, after 25 years.
Okay. All right, we're on a motion to.
City
Mayor, I'd like
manager.
to amend the motion.
So, city manager, before we leave chambers tonight, we need to know if the deal is going to be accepted, properly executed, not verbally, but some kind of written email by an authorized representative of our 25-year A and B towing.
Okay.
Otherwise, we are jammed come midnight.
Okay. Commissioner Seipel, it's already been, reconsidered with your language.
I would like to clarify the language that I'm making the amendment to, the language I'm inserting in here.
Okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
I wanted to insert, after it says, extending, to insert the language for up to 6 months, the agreement to July 31, 2022. And I think that, I would hope that that would be supportive, but along with that, Mayor, I do think that we need confirmation. It would be very helpful to have confirmation. Maybe a phone call needs to be made and an email or a text or something to the company, to the vendor, and see if that is an agreeable, because I think we need that. So that would be my amended, and then my little side talk about what I think should
Do you agree with that
happen.
amendment, Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
And can I speak for just a moment?
go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
Did you want to add something?
We just contacted the vendor. We did leave him a voicemail and a text, so we're waiting to hear back.
So in the absence of the city manager getting an answer tonight, I still think that we'd be fine, you know, because if we add this language, it has to be executed.
Right.
A new renewal or extension has to be executed. And if he chooses not to do that, then, you know, we're gonna be in that situation where we don't have the vendor because he's not gonna sign the contract. And if he does sign the contract, then we have it up to 6 months, as you was intended, in order to be able to move forward with our process a little bit quicker. So, I think that's what's most important, is that we know that the contract was, the extension was actually executed with the revised language.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Further discussion? Call the roll, please. on
Mr. Mayor?
consideration.
Mr. Mayor,
Who's that?
myself.
Go ahead.
If I understand the motion, the only change is that the extension would be up to 6 months.
Correct.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
thank
for
you.
extending for up to 6 months the agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
We're ready to vote, Commissioner.
Yes, I have a
What do you
suggestion. Can we lay this on the table until the end of the meeting and give the vendor an opportunity to come back and take this up last?
I
Let's
believe
give the vendor an
we're
opportunity to
communicating now with the
to
vendor,
respond.
so it might just take a minute.
Okay?
I'm sorry, hold on, everybody's talking. City Manager, what did you say?
I said I believe Mr. Gonzalez is speaking with the vendor now. Let me see what he has to
Well,
say.
rather than lay on the table, why don't we just go away from this and come back?
Well, I
Oh,
think we
it's the
might have
same
an
thing.
answer.
Go ahead.
And just for reference, Mr. Mayor, a motion to lay on the table is a legally qualified motion.
No, I didn't take it.
We might have
You didn't
the
accept it, I know that.
Go ahead, Mr. Gonzalez.
Good evening, Ainer Gonzalez, Assistant City Manager. I just spoke to the owner, and he stated that he is consistent with requesting a 6-month extension.
I'm sorry?
6-month extension.
6 months?
Yes, what you have before you on the agenda.
And not less?
No, sir.
Okay.
He would not accept the up to 6
I
months?
tried month to month, I tried 3 months. He says, no, 6 months is what I need.
No, did you ask him for the language that didn't say 3 months? It said up to 6 months.
Yeah, he said, well, he doesn't what he doesn't want is the uncertainty of, is it 1 month, 2 months, or 3? He wants 6 months extension.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I'm
getting confused too.
I understand I do understand where he's coming, he's running a business. I understand that. But the issues that were brought forward tonight were, well, he has to pay insurance, and then he has to pay, you know, his crew, and he's got costs, he's got gas, he's got all that. He's gonna have that, whether it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. That isn't really a valid reason for not allowing us to go forward with this. Because he's going to be paying that anyway. It doesn't make sense to me. Am I totally missing something on this? I don't think I am.
City Attorney, let me ask you, legal.
Yes, Mayor.
We're at a point now where we just heard from the owner, and the owner doesn't want to do what we want them to do.
Correct.
So if we lay this on the table and go home, and somebody has an accident tomorrow, who's the towing company?
Mr. Mayor, may I offer something?
Go ahead,
Okay.
please.
As you know, this item before you is to ratify the extension already of the 6 months. So theoretically, we do have the 6 months in place.
So he has to,
Well, he has a contract that I signed up to 6 months, but it needs to be ratified by you.
Okay.
Legal question, Mayor?
Go ahead.
Mr. Dodge,
Can we let Mr. Dodge finish?
No, he wants to ask a question.
I have a question for him
Go ahead.
on what he's saying. I understand what you're saying.
I
that-
didn't understand
that
it. I'd
you-
like to let him
That you have,
finish.
well, you can ask him when I finish. What you
That's
have
very
said
rude.
to us is that you have already agreed to this 6 months, given the powers that you have to do so. But what you're just
Subject
asking
to
us
commission approval.
Exactly, you're asking us to ratify what you have done, correct?
Yes, and if you do not ratify it, then there is not a 6-month extension.
Right.
Then there is not.
There is not.
Okay, thank you.
All right, city attorney.
Yes,
with-
Mayor.
With that, does the language okay now that we know that
No,
for
it's
6
not.
months?
Well, the problem, Mr. Mayor, if I may, is that whatever language has been offered in the motion apparently is unacceptable to the vendor as we speak.
No, he says we're got 6
No,
months.
what the manager speaks to the truth. What he did legally under the code and the charter was he extended the contract for 6 months, which he's permitted legally to do. But that extension is subject to ratification, which means it's a fancy word for approval. If you don't approve it, then,
It's subject to ratification.
yes, if the commission rejects that ratification, then the answer is that
Well, that puts the city in a real bind. I don't know what to do. I don't want to leave this without any towing company. So what's your suggestion, Mr. Legal?
Well, like I said, I don't want to keep repeating the word catastrophic, but the answer is that I can't know what's going to happen after 12 o'clock tonight in the context of providing a service which you're currently providing, but it ends and will end with the vendor unwilling, apparently, to accept the terms of the extension that were otherwise provided.
Point of clarification,
Go
Mayor?
ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. This 6 months that is to go through July of 2022, we're in February, March, April, May, June, July. When would this have started, and when would the contract that we are looking to renew or redo, what were the dates for the existing contract?
Mr. Dodge?
I believe it went through, you said January 28th, Mark?
I'm sorry,
January
what is it?
28th. January 28th.
Is when it started.
That's when we had to renew it on that date for a 6-month extension.
So we're already operating.
We're already operating under that 6-month
Oh.
extension. Now we're bringing it before you at the next available commission meeting to ratify it, if that's your desire.
Okay, but right now we're covered.
We're covered today, but if you don't ratify it, then I believe
If the,
we do not have a contract.
the city's ordinance requires ratification by the commission, which is another word for approval, and you have yet to approve the manager's prerogative in that extension. He did so in a matter of municipal purpose and
All right.
public use.
All right, well, let's see what we want to do with the language that was just proposed.
Mayor, I have a question for the city attorney.
Hold on a second. On the reconsideration that was
Yes.
proposed by Commissioner Seipel's language,
There's no.
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that the commission would adopt a
by
motion
Commissioner
which
Schwartz
is,
on the reconsideration.
Yeah,
item.
city attorney,
yes, Commissioner.
the manager, signed came to an agreement with the vendor on the 28th of January. We had a commission meeting on February the 2nd. So in our code, is the manager required to bring emergency power to the commission by the next meeting or a meeting? And number two, if this item were to be tabled, and let's just say we were to ratify it on the 24th of July, isn't it still a valid contract?
May I respond, Mayor?
Please.
Interesting question. The answer is that the manager has the legal authority to sign the extension for the 6 months, subject to approval by the commission. I don't think the code specifically speaks to the next meeting. It speaks to a meeting of the commission. So theoretically, I guess one could argue, and I'm trying to be open-minded about your inquiry and about the commission's potential liability, which is if you took no action by simply tabling the matter to a future date, you have a 6-month provision which is in place. It's not been rejected by the commission, but has been legally approved by the manager under the code and charter.
Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to need Mr. Gonzalez to reach back out to the vendor, and I think we may,
Mr. Around the motion
I
to
understand.
reconsider.
But the motion to
So,
reconsider, but,
stay on the motion to reconsider.
okay, the vendor's already told us to go pound it. He's not gonna sign it. So,
Point of order, Mayor.
Mr. Gonzalez has an opportunity to clarify the position of the vendor, that if this commission doesn't ratify tonight, is the vendor gonna continue to operate as they have been for the last 3 weeks?
Mr. Dodge, did you do that? What the Commissioner Schwartz is saying?
I think he's asking, further clarification from the vendor to see if, in fact, if we called him tomorrow, would he show up, even though you haven't ratified the contract?
Exactly.
And I guess the next question is, if the city attorney is stating we don't have to do it immediately, then you have the extension in place right now,
All right.
but I don't know if
May I-
you have
Let's see
to
where we go.
ratify it.
Mayor, for a moment, if you'll indulge me just for a moment. Under section 35.21, which is the award of contract section of the code, the language is hopefully going to help you to consider what you're doing this evening. However, emergency purchases as described in section 35.18 shall not require advanced city commission approval. In such emergency situations, the city manager may approve the purchase or contract subject to later ratification by the city commission. Emergency purchases are to be made only when the normal function and operation of the city would be hampered to such an extent by submittal of a requisition in the usual manner that it may affect the life, health, or convenience of citizens. So, to best answer the questions that are being asked on the agenda, it does not say the next meeting. It does not say the meeting thereafter. It basically says, as it says here, later ratification by the city commission. So,
Okay, let's see where we go with the reconsideration.
so if I may, just without giving you any further clarification, I don't think you need it, is that the code allows you some prerogatives here.
All right, let's see where we go with the
For
reconsideration.
me?
Sorry?
May I have a point of clarification?
On the reconsideration?
On what the city attorney just spoke
Go
to?
ahead.
What is the requisitioning or the payment that the city is making to this vendor?
I'm sorry, what was your question? I couldn't hear you.
What is the requisitioning or the payment that the city is making to this vendor or to this company?
I don't believe we make the payment, Vice Mayor, to them. It's
All right.
it was always a franchise previously before the law changed that they paid us.
Right.
Now it's a limitation of a very minimal amount they pay us. So it's not that we're having to make a contribution to this vendor. There's no money exchanged. They just have a right to provide the franchise based upon the county ordinance that sets rates.
Mr. Gonzalez, do you have further?
And the collection of those funds are done between the private citizen and the vendor.
Do you have further information?
Aaron Gonzalez, Assistant City Manager. I was just got on the phone with Rodrigo Espina, which is the owner, and he did state that currently he does have an agreement or a contract for 6 months because the manager did approve it. If commission doesn't take any action tonight, he's fine with continuing service. If commission, and this is what he said, if commission decides 2 months, 3 months down the road to terminate his contract, then he will then take action accordingly. So, it would
that's
be either
up to-
legal or whatever it would be.
All right, let's do this. Let's see where we are with this motion to reconsider, and then we'll go from
So,
there.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
We got a motion to reconsider, a second by Commissioner Seifel.
Mayor,
Further discussion.
yes, Mayor. Mr. Gonzalez, I had a question for him. I'm sorry. But
Mr. Gonzalez?
are you saying that when you spoke to the vendor, they said that no matter what happens tonight, they will still be on duty tomorrow?
No, if the commission does not make a decision tonight to terminate, doesn't make a decision on the item. Right now, the item is, we do have a contract with A&B Towing for 6 months because the manager approved
Right.
the extension.
Right.
If the commission doesn't vote otherwise, he is willing to continue service for 6 months.
So according to city attorney, according to what you just said, an answer that you gave that said, while city manager has the authority by 3521 or whatever you cited there,
Correct.
to enter into this and then to seek ratification because of the emergency portions that you read. But it is not date-specific as to when he needs to get that ratification. We certainly do not have to act on this tonight in order for that signed contract by city manager to still be honored by both sides until we have time to have more discussion about this.
May I respond,
Correct?
Mayor?
Go ahead, City Attorney.
Yes, so the short answer is, of course, yes. But a tabling motion would not violate the terms of the charter or the code and would preserve the obligation and the responsibility of this vendor to perform from now until whenever the contract would expire.
And I think that's the direction that we should take, and I would make a
Right.
motion that we would,
We have a motion on the floor.
I'm making a substitute motion
Okay, we have a substitute motion by Commissioner Seifel to do what?
to table this item until city manager has an opportunity to have more discussion with our vendor.
Second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schwartz. Discussion? Call the roll, please, City Clerk.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Let's kick another can down the road, yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
Let's do the right thing.
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, Vice Mayor, if you would take the gavel for item 11, I want to pull it. Motion to ratify the Fourth Amendment to the Agreement for Purchase and Sale with Providence.
What happened to number 9?
Sorry?
Number 9, sir?
Is deferred.
Oh, it's deferred?
Okay, let me go back and read that again, please. Motion to ratify the Fourth Amendment to the Agreement for Purchase and Sale with Providence One Investments LLC and the assignment of the purchase and sale agreement to Pembroke ALMC Real Estate LLC.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schwartz. City Manager.
City Attorney, if you will, Mr. Mayor.
City Attorney.
Thank you for the prerogative, Mr. Mayor, in allowing me to briefly speak to item number 11. The City Attorney's Office and the City Manager's Office support the motion before you on item number 11. The transaction is poised to close by next Tuesday with Providence One or one of its assignees, which is under the contract is permitted. It's a $3 million purchase, which would be selling property here at City Center. The open issue, which I'd like the record to reflect, is the fact that adjacent property, which is controlled by contract by the Terra Group, is currently under negotiation with regard to a restrictive covenant that could affect these two properties. The lawyers for Terra and for Providence are negotiating the restrictive covenant, which may impact the next transaction, which is the Terra transaction, which is about to also close in the near future. I lay this on the record for a couple of reasons. The Providence deal is ready to close, consistent with the agreement. The city is well prepared and able to do so, subject to the record reflecting the fact that the restrictive covenant, which is currently under discussion, which would limit some of the uses on the property, including city property. I want that on the record clearly so that the lawyers can understand that the City Commission is fulfilling its obligations to close this transaction, but is concerned, I use that word in a limited way, to make sure that the covenant that's being discussed and negotiated is finalized, that there's no other open issue that could occur with the Terra transaction going forward. So that record is clear. Hope the lawyers hear that.
Discussion on a motion. Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioner. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
the prerogative. Thank you.
All right, we are now on item 14, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to approve the minutes of the Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022 regular commission meeting.
Second by Commissioner Castillo, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to speak to, the item number 19, which is on page 12 in the minutes. So, last meeting, we had, taken action to approve a memorandum of understanding or a second amendment to the memorandum of understanding, and this was in regards to the solid waste, study. So, we had that conversation, because there was an urgency, and the presentation that was made to us was that we had to get this done quickly so that this study can get underway quickly, and more particularly so they could do a waste generation, study, composition, call it composition, while we still had our, northern visitors with us, or our winter visitors with us. So, during today's meeting at the Solid Waste Working Group, there was an update that was brought by Broward County that is overseeing this contract. I'm happy to report that there's probably about a 99% participation from all the cities. However, they did substantially modify that schedule. And that schedule, what the winter review of the composition that was to be done now, they have since moved that to November of later this year, which has substantially moved that timeline from what we had made a decision on. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring this item back for reconsideration with what more accurate information is available to us. I mean, it was accurate at the last meeting. It had changed. And because it changed, I think I'd like to have this brought back to this commission for reconsideration and more discussion. So
You want to do it now?
I need to have the item brought back
Oh, okay.
at the next meeting, so.
All right, is there any disagreement with that? All right,
I mean, we had said that it was gonna be 120 days, so if it's gonna,
I'm sorry.
we had said that it was gonna be 120 days. So if it's gonna be November, we need to talk about it again,
Okay.
we're bringing it back.
because that's a delay.
All right,
Mr. Mayor,
I understand.
yes, city attorney.
just for the record, the commissioner, the vice mayor, has specifically asked at the next agenda, the next meeting of the commission, that there be a formal item on the agenda printed under Robert's Rules, which is a motion for reconsideration
Correct.
of the prior approval, which was considered by the commission on the public record on February the 2nd, on this item.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, everybody understands that?
Thank you.
Let's go to item 17, please.
Mayor,
Well, we need
I don't mean to object, but it needs to be
Sorry?
we had a motion added to the agenda as a specific motion for reconsideration.
We had
No, it was a
we had a
motion
consensus.
to decide who,
Yes.
We had a consensus.
Minutes,
you have to vote on the minutes.
on the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, the motion under minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, call the roll, please.
Thank you, Julie.
Vice Mayor Good,
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo,
On the minutes?
And the
Yes.
minutes.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Seifel. Yes. Mayor Ordus.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Regular agenda, item 17, please. 17.
15, Mayor.
15?
Oh,
15 it is.
what's wrong with me tonight?
We'll settle on 15. Mayor, if I may read?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioner. Item number 15 is a proposed ordinance number 2021-27, which is an ordinance of the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, amending Chapter 120 entitled Other Business by specifically amending Section 120.02 entitled Personal, Profession, or Occupation to comply with the revisions of Section 559.955 of the Florida statutes, providing for conflicts and severability, and finally providing for an effective date.
Move it.
Thank you.
Moved by Commissioner Castillo. Is there a second? Second? I'll second the motion. All right, discussion. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Castillo,
Yes.
Mayor Ordus,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Seifel. Yes. Vice Mayor Good,
Yes.
motion passes.
For the record, Mayor and Commissioner, the item will be heard for full public hearing on the 16th of March in these chambers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now on item 17.
What
Thank you,
happened
Mayor.
to 16?
It was deferred.
It was deferred early.
Thank you, Mayor, if I may, and Commission. This is item number 17. It's discussion and possible reconsideration of the previous action by the Commission on 2/2/2022 regarding the community rating system that's called CRS, and the potential for the city to increase its ranking one or more levels to provide for a larger flood insurance premium discount for residents by hiring a firm to assist the city in increasing the city's CRS rating pursuant to Section 35.18, subsection C, subsection 2 of the city's Code of Ordinances. That's a discussion and possible reconsideration. Thank you, Mayor and Commission. 17.
Hey, is there a motion? Moved by Commissioner Seifel. There's second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schwartz. Discussion.
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo.
Mr. Manager, what is causing this reconsideration?
Mr. Mayor?
City Manager.
At the last meeting, I know it was getting rather late, and this item went through rather quickly, and we really didn't get a chance to discuss it. The item that was brought up was for us to do research to see how we could move from a Class 7 to a Class 6 as far as flood insurance rating for our residents.
Right.
Mr. Kennedy did all of the research, and based upon that research and what other cities have done, we're saying that it probably will cost more to do the consulting work and what it will provide to our residents in savings, because even though many of our residents are in the area that they are required to have flood insurance, there are only about 1,800 homes in the entire city that would benefit from this. So you're asking for, say, 38,000 homeowners to pay a very small benefit of $26 for 1,800 homeowners. And it wasn't brought up, it wasn't clear. We just want that fact to be known when you make a decision what you want to do here.
Well, you had brought it forward for recommendation, and we said, go ahead. So now you're having second thoughts based on the cost, or how much will it cost?
No, Commissioner, I didn't bring it forward. It was an item that was discussed at the commission meeting to explore it, to see what it would be. What we're saying is that and Mr. Kennedy can probably expound on it a little bit better, that there was only a savings about, I think around $25,000 that would apply to 1,864 policies within the city. That averages about $26 savings in their flood insurance premium, but for only 1,800 homeowners.
Okay.
So we're spending total tax dollars that only benefit 1,800
And how
people.
many, well, I'm asking you, how much would it cost the city in order to get the new rating?
What it costs the city to maintain the rating is $25,000, and we'd have to pay $24,500 for a consultant to prepare all the necessary work to get it done.
Mr. Kennedy, did you want to add anything?
But the point I'm simply trying to make is going from a Class 7 to a Class 6 doesn't really help the general population of the community. It helps a very few number of people.
Okay. Further discussion?
My question is, what will it, maybe the engineer wants to add.
$50,000, 25 and 24.
So it would cost us $25,000 to get to the new rating?
On an annual basis, and then the savings is roughly $24,000 a year that it would cost. Carl, could you please come up and elaborate on it?
Mr. Kennedy?
Carl Kennedy, city engineer. Yes, to go from up one class from a 7 to a 6, got a proposal from a firm that would be about $25,000, a little less. And to maintain that rating, I estimate, well, it's a very ballpark figure of $25,000 a year to maintain that. I won't know that until they've finished their analysis and their assistance in setting up the programs that are needed to justify going down one level in the...
So we're a Class 7 now?
We're a Class 7 now, yes.
What does it cost us to maintain the Class 7?
It's probably around, with the consultants, is probably around 40,000, I think, 30,000, 40,000.
Stay Class 7 and 25,000 to stay at Class 6?
Yes.
Additional.
Yeah, that's,
Just additional
it's substantially more work, to maintain that level of savings.
So it costs us $40,000 to stay at Class 7, and are you saying it would cost us $65,000 to stay at Class 6? I'm not following the math.
Yes, yeah, approximately. I would assume that something about that's an order of magnitude.
What is
I
the?
can't imagine it would cost $100,000
The
a
math
year,
is
but
an
it's
additional 25,000 to go down one class.
Plus the consultant.
well, that is with the
That is
consultant.
the
No,
consultant.
that is.
And there's additional staff time that's involved with that too, because they're, to go up one class, there are significant committees that need to be formed, and, you know, they need to meet and discuss actions that would be taken during emergencies and things like that.
And is this grant eligible in any way?
I do not know.
Under any one of the new federal programs, is this grant eligible? I mean, if we can do something for 1,800 homes, I'd like to do something for 1,800 homes. I don't want to say it's just 1,800 homes, we're not going to do it. Because next year, the maps will change, we'll still be a class 6, and it'll involve 2,800 homes. And the dollars change all the time because the insurance company changes all the time. So I can't look at it from the scope of, it doesn't make any cost-benefit sense to me to look at it from the scope of how it will work tomorrow. This is a long-term decision. So are there any grant funds, Mr. Dodge, that, federal grant funds or other grant funds coming down the road that would assist us with this? I would imagine that this is part of the infrastructure issues.
I'm not aware of any, Commissioner. I know most of the cities in Broward are 7. There are a few 6, but it's just the nature of the elevations in the community and.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, this one is worth researching a little more to see whether or not there's grant funds. If we can do something for 1,800 homes, I think we should do it. So I'm okay, if you want, this is discussion and possible action to reconsider. I'm okay asking you guys to research whether or not this is grant eligible and bring it back at the next meeting for a decision, yes or no, no, yes, yes or no. I don't like kicking things down the road, but I don't have an answer to my question. And if we can do something good for 1,800 homes, I'd like to do it.
Okay. All right, further discussion on the motion.
Yes, Mr.
Go
Mayor.
ahead, Vice Mayor.
So I would just like to ask too, I mean, it's also the number of homes, 1,800 homes, Commissioner Castillo, obviously, you know, brought up an obvious point that, you know, flood maps and the fact that they've changed
Yes,
again.
they're
So
likely going to change again
Yeah.
at the end of this year.
And, you know, these special hazards, you know, may increase in size, and certainly what we're looking at today is a static number, very well may be dynamic and could very well be larger.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think it's very important that, you know, if we have the capability of being able to get to a better rating that gives our residents an opportunity to reduce their insurance on the flood insurance, and we know flooding is sort of a topic for us right now. I don't think it's a bad idea that we at least show the residents that we're trying to help them in other ways in order to mitigate some of their the hazards that they have. So I'd still like to see us move forward, and that's where I stand.
All right, further discussion on the motion.
Mayor?
Go ahead, Commissioner Slade.
Yeah, the motion was the motion that I read, or that you read and put out there, and I made the motion on, was for exactly what's written here. But what we're asking to do is to change that a little bit and make a different motion, giving direction to city manager to bring this back to us after they've done a little bit more research and can provide more information to us.
Right. City
That-
Manager,
that'd be
isn't that what
correct?
the motion says?
I understand what is being said this evening, and we'll move forward with that.
Okay, so I don't want to vote on the motion as it's written in the book, because that's not what we're doing.
I can't hear you, what you said, City Manager.
So I'd
I
like the
said
motion to
Wait,
table.
hold on.
I said I understood what's being said as far as the direction to us to do further research.
So if possible reconsideration of this motion is doing what you said?
I think what they're saying is basically you're kind of unofficially tabling it until we bring back
That's a
additional
different motion.
information.
Okay, all right, we got further discussion on 17.
So we have a motion actually on the table?
Yep.
And I actually made a motion to table this item. Can we table this item?
Perfect, perfect, that's fine.
All right, the Vice Mayor makes a motion to table, Commissioner Castillo seconded the motion. On a motion to table, City Clerk?
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Good.
18, Mr. Mayor?
Item 18, please.
Thank you. With your permission, if I may, this is item number 18. It's a motion to approve the negotiated First Amendment to the agreement for solid waste with Waste Pro of Florida Incorporated to include the option for residents to use the blue carts once per week for commingled solid waste at an additional cost of $2 per month, and the backup of which is in the agenda book as well as online. Thank you.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Seifel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Mayor. Commissioner Seifel, I want to commend you on great job you're doing on this item.
Thank you, Mayor, and I just want to thank you for, everyone for their support. I know we all heard a lot from residents, about the blue bin and recycling and the whole bit. We're working through some of the other issues, but this was an issue that needed to be dealt with right away to help our residents with the volume of their garbage. So I thank City Manager for for his negotiating and being able to get this down, which I thought to a very reasonable charge for our residents, with a 4 times, once a week, 4 times a month blue bin pickup. The only thing that I would like to say, Mayor, is that I did have discussion with City Manager, and he needs to really come up with quickly, very quickly, on how we are going to roll this out to the residents, on how, for example, if they no longer want their blue bin, who and how and what are they going to call to get registered to have that blue bin picked up? If they want to continue the use of the blue bin, who and how do they speak to get themselves registered, not only to get the sticker to go on their can, but also to get registered, because that would be $2 on their garbage billing that needs to be on their account.
Okay.
So City Manager, I guess, kind of, if this is approved tonight, now the ball is sort of in your court as to how, we roll all this out, so.
All right, further discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo.
Thank you very much. Mr. Manager, how long will it take, after this vote, for you to be able to put out, information to residents on how to get their sticker and, who to call at Waste Pro to pick up their blue bins if that's what they want to do? How long will it take you to get that information out, to folks, so that they can, proceed with this?
Manager?
Getting the information out isn't that a long period of time. What the issue is the implementation of it. In other words, setting up the registration forms, printing the material, and then notifying all the residents, and then deal with the distribution of the sticker or the pickup of the blue bins. So I would say it would be somewhere between maybe 30 and 45 days. I think that might be reasonable.
Okay, Commissioner Castillo?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, anything else?
Yes, Mayor.
Further discussion?
Yes, Mayor.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner Schwartz.
That's okay. All right, so the elephant in the room is how's this going to work? And so we're asking people to change their behavior again. It's been suggested to the residents I've spoken to, instead of going blue bin, just go with small green bins and just remove all blue bins. Because when we go back to recycling, and now you're going to ask people, don't put the stuff that you've been putting in for the next 18 months or 2 years, or however long it's going to be, now they have to unlearn that. That is going to be a train wreck. Stickers, sure, it's cost efficient, but I don't know long-term if that's really the best way to move forward. And before we push this button live, I don't think it's fair to the administration to come up with a plan, and then 5 elected officials have to explain what happened. So I don't think this should go live until it's commission approved.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate Commissioner Schwartz. He's very right about behavior and handling and managing that. I would like to suggest also that there might be an opportunity to actually just change total color of the bin later on, just make it yellow whenever we get back into recycling. I mean, so we could address that. But there's also the possibility we won't go back to bins. We might go back to the old-fashioned hand cart, because, it was much better source separated then, and that's what's causing it is the convenience, and that's what's causing the contamination. So there's a potential for that whole dynamic to change. So just suggesting that.
So Mayor, if I may make an amendment to the motion, to not go live until it's brought back to the commission for ratification.
Is there a second?
The manager's plan, his logistical plan, implementation plan does not go into effect until it's ratified by the city commission.
Or we're gonna ratify tonight, or.
Well,
I'm not looking for further delay.
City manager?
Certainly if we come up
vote on
with
this item tonight,
Mayor,
approved.
certainly if we come up with a plan, we can certainly bring it back to the commission, say within 2 commission meetings, which is 30 days, to at least give you the plan. We could do
And
something
then that
like
would be
that.
another 40 to 50 days after that.
I really don't
Not
want to delay this
necessarily,
any further.
well, unless you change the plan, yes, it
No.
could delay it.
Mayor, city manager already said that he could get implementation, have a 30 to 45 day timeframe on that.
I'm okay with that.
Well, with all due respect, this is why we rolled something out, and it didn't work. So, by all means, if you want to continue, to have your phone blow up and get the emails and just crush staff who's now doing overtime to handle all the calls, by all means, do that. But I think the buck stops with us. We direct the city manager. That's our job. So if we sign off on the city manager's plan, we are now responsible for the entire thing. Now, some people may say, let's not delay it so we can blame others. But certainly, when you only have 38,000 people that this is being impacted by, when the majority of your district doesn't even participate in recycling and never has, certainly you can hold that position of, let's just go ahead and roll it out now.
Mayor, is there a second to
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner's motion?
So,
Mr. Mayor,
Who is
if
that?
I may, it's me.
Go ahead.
If it would be helpful, at the next meeting, the plan we've already been talking about, we can bring back to you a plan at the next meeting, but the implementation of it is going to take some time. The education takes time. So that's why we said we need up to 45 days. But if the commission would like to review a recommended plan that the administration has, we will put it on the next agenda.
All right? What does everybody think of that?
I think we're ready to go, and if they want to provide us with updates, that's great, but the residents of the city are sick and tired of waiting. Let's get the garbage right already.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I can tell you that in my own community, I still see blue bins out. They haven't even rolled them back to their house. They're just sitting there thinking that they're going to get picked up. And so, Commissioner Short does bring up an interesting issue. I too agree that we need to get the people who have volume, the opportunity to get their disposal done. I absolutely believe in that. But I also know too that there's a potential for somebody to see somebody's blue bin got picked up, don't know that they paid extra, and will put their blue bin out expecting to get picked up, and it'll sit there a while again.
Point of clarification?
Hold on, or the communication we're gonna do from the city should alleviate
Well,
that.
I think
And I want to just say that I haven't had one objection to this item from every resident I've talked to.
I agree.
Point of
I think
clarification, Mayor?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. City manager, we have talked about this before, and that there is staff now that will be going out on garbage pickup days to look at what's being put out on the swales to see if it is correct. Is it truly bulk? Is it really a green can? Is it really a blue can? So if in fact that is what is happening, and they would then say maybe, a week or two, they would see the same still blue can sitting there that has not been picked up. It's my understanding from my discussions with you that they would then have discussion with that homeowner and explain to them what it is, that it's bulk or it's not bulk or it's a blue can, but if you want it, you have to participate in this program. Is that not what is supposed to be happening with the staff?
I believe a couple weeks ago, I received a call from a resident in the village, and they said there were about 70 cans out. We went to every single homeowner, gave them a flyer, knocked on the door, and explained it to them.
Good.
I mean, we can't drag the can into them, but at least we give them the first notice. Then we would go back and give them a citation.
Yep.
Right, so we have that, and that was
We're
part of
doing
this
it.
whole
Now, I
garbage
can't say
plan.
we're hitting every one already.
Right, so if this person is still a bit confused and is still, because I mean, I've seen it too, they leave the blue can out. But now this staff that you're talking about would reach out to that person and explain to them what it is. So Vice Mayor, hopefully maybe that gives you a little bit more comfort on that, because I think we all have had blue cans sitting out week after week. And remember now, this only started January 1, and we're trying to get all of this going. I think residents will start to understand a little bit more. And specifically, if they don't still understand, that the staff will be able to, door to door, kind of go to them and explain it to them. So maybe that helps you a little bit.
And thank you, and I'm not but Commissioner Schwartz did say something very important. I mean, our communication is not as good as we would want it to be, or that we would expect it to be, because again, I just want to make certain that there's that effort, and maybe even if it's having to put extra talent in the front end of this to get that word out or that information out. I have some residents in my community that are really watch this, and like Commissioner Schwartz said, blow up the phone, and we know that we need to get a solution to some of these folks. But at the same time, I don't want other people to be seeing that solution executed and then believing that they should get that same benefit and then continue to have that problem. So, I mean, if the city manager is got a program, again, I'm just going to reiterate the fact that I think it should be really elevated, not like, and excuse me for saying this, but like what we've seen in the past, how some of this works out. So,
All right, further discussion.
On the item.
Item 18, City Clerk.
On the main motion.
On the main motion, there's only one.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Reports of leagues. We have a advocacy meeting tomorrow at 2:00. And the legislation in Tallahassee is about to come to an end, thank God. So we still got some items that came out today that we need to contact our representatives for a positive vote. Anything else, Mr. Seifel?
No, it's just, thank God it's coming to an end soon.
All right, City Manager.
Yes, Mayor, we're going to be advertising soon. I want to bring it to your attention that the household hazardous waste disposal schedule, we're going to be setting it up quarterly. We're setting it up at the wastewater treatment plant located at 13975 Pembroke Road. The first date we have is April the 2nd. We will be publishing these dates and the hours, and we will also have a list of what is acceptable hazardous waste, what's unacceptable, and what is acceptable electronic waste and unacceptable. So we're getting prepared to do that. Our vendor who has been selected is Clean Harbor Environmental Services, and that will begin April the 2nd. And those notices will continue to go out to our homeowners. We don't have a great deal of homeowners from history that utilize this service. I think maybe about 200 that we experience, but we'll continue to post this and advise everyone, but I just want to let you know that
It's
this
a major
evening.
issue.
What was
that's
the
been
address
done.
again, please?
It's the wastewater treatment plant on Pembroke Road. It's 13975 Pembroke Road.
Can you email us this information, please, Mr. Dodd?
Yes, I will provide it all to you, the
All right.
the
Thank
notice.
All right, City Attorney, before you start, let me just say welcome back. Thank you.
Yay.
Welcome
Nice
back.
to be
Glad
back. Thank you,
see
Mayor.
Feeling better?
Nice to,
Been
absolutely.
through hell?
Yes.
We love it,
Nice to be
Commissioner.
back here.
We love Mr.
Thank you.
Horowitz, but we love you too.
I love him too.
Jeez.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
It's like a love fest up here.
Now you have to talk.
I do. Mayor, I've given you some updates recently on some litigation pending, which I can discuss with you offline and individually.
Sam, can you put your mic on?
It was on. Oh, there we go.
Talking
The answer is I've given you some updates recently regarding some pending litigation. The gun management case, the Supreme Court brief was filed last evening, and we'll brief you further as the Hollywood case proceeds to trial at the beginning of April. Other than that, I have nothing further, but thank you for the welcome and thank you for the
Thank
caring
you,
and
sir.
concern. I appreciate it.
All right, item 19, Commissioner Castillo.
Thank you. This is a motion to discuss and take possible action regarding the status of the commission-directed gates on 4th Street between 202nd and 208th Avenues, and the status of hiring an engineer to prepare a citywide master plan. It's been months, and residents have seen no traffic relief. On September 22nd, following several community meetings, we passed Resolution 201R48, which is on the dais. I apologize to the public, it did not make it into the agenda backup. However, it was intended to be there, and it is proposed resolution. It has actually passed Resolution 2021R-48. On page 4 of 7 of that resolution, it says, whereas the City Commission finds that in the best interest of the health, safety of the public, including residents and property owners on the directly affected roadways, to enact temporary regulations and provide for the enforcement of such intended to alleviate and the significant impacts caused by the special conditions described herein. And at its September 22nd special meeting, the City Commission authorized the drafting and adoption of this resolution so that the special condition can be urgently addressed without further delay. I specifically recall comments on this day as, let's get it done tomorrow, let's get it done next week, let's get it done right away. It's been 5 months. There are no gates, there's no traffic relief there at all. I tried to persuade that we should give the assignment of hiring an engineer to the city auditor, which we've done occasionally in the past when we had a special assignment. It would have been, person would have been working already. But we chose to go the other way. However, we also waived the procurement rules. So I need someone to explain to me why these gates aren't up, why this engineer is not already hired, and when both will happen. That's my item. Can somebody explain the answers to that to me?
Manager?
From
Yes.
staff?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there's 2 staff members that will address 2 different issues. One, Mr. Kennedy can come up and we can talk about the issues and what we have been doing regarding 4th Street, at 202nd. And Mr. Stam has done a thorough report regarding the traffic way, as well as an engineer that's been involved in starting this process, because there had been an earlier resolution about doing a master plan for traffic. So if we can start with the first issue, Carl, would you please address what has been going on since that time in dealing with some of these issues? And you have to understand, even though we said we were going to move as quickly as we could, many of those issues, there's other agencies that are involved in what have to provide those approvals for, and that's what we're dealing with. Carl?
Carl Kennedy, city engineer. We had solicited engineering services to design the gates for Southwest 4th Street. We phoned several firms to find out who actually had people that were available to do that fairly quickly. We received some preliminary designs. We're in the process of scoping the actual equipment to be installed in that location. We've submitted the plans to Broward County Traffic Engineering for their review to ensure that we're not going to be negatively impacting traffic on some of the other traffic ways, such as 208 and you know, in a unsafe manner, and 202.
If I could? Go ahead. So, what you've just described is the process that we would take under the normal course. But we created a special condition using the home rule authority that this municipality has pursuant to a state statute. Are you with me, Mr. City Attorney?
So far.
Okay. And if the process for a special urgent condition is the same as a regular urgent condition, or a regular condition, period, then there's no such thing as a special urgent condition. Special urgent condition means that people put it to the top of the list, get it done fast, and get it implemented immediately. That's what urgency means. So I can't buy that we haven't gotten this done. And look, you know, you and I, Cole, you're the greatest city attorney on earth, city engineer on earth. Mr. Dodge is the greatest city manager. This is impersonal. I'm very annoyed that the residents have had to wait this long and they don't have the traffic relief that this commission ordered quickly. Okay? And if you all had a problem with getting it done quickly, you needed to come back here and say, I'm having a problem getting it done quickly. But this stuff of, we're going to send it off to this agency, and we're going to send it off to that agency, sorry, I don't buy it. Mr. City Attorney, do you buy it? Do we not have the home rule authority to say this has to happen? We'll share it with these folks. If they want to do an expedited review, fine, but throwing it on the bottom of the bin until they get there, that's just not what urgency means, correct?
May I respond, Mayor?
Yes, please.
The resolutions specifically and expressly recognize the traffic engineering agreement with the county because we have to, legally and contractually.
Mm-hmm.
However, we did implement a statute, which is very irregularly used, which the commission chose to use, which places a great obligation on the city commission and staff to perform, but also requires the county to perform as well.
Okay.
So we need to make sure that aspect has been complied with.
They're not performing. We're not getting the relief that we urgently asked for. I want the gates up. These people have had enough. Okay? Let's switch topics. Where's the engineer who's going to do this master plan? Why does it take 5 months to get that person on board?
Mike Stein, Director of Planning and Economic Development. Commissioner, the direct answer is that I'm sitting on the Transportation Procurement Committee tomorrow. We went out to bid. We have the specific dates that we went out to bid. We created the bid documents back in November.
Yeah.
We closed out the bid in December.
Yeah.
People responded, and we got our first committee meeting tomorrow, where we're hearing both sides of the coin tomorrow.
Good.
To pick the engineers to create the citywide master plan.
Okay.
However, it's really important to note that we started this process about 150 days ago. And during the last 150 days, we have taken steps that will be incorporated into that transportation master plan.
Mm-hmm.
If you recall, I gave you all the draft school traffic mitigation report. I believe the date was October 6th. The city manager created a committee where we went through this process, and we started to identify various items that were problematic throughout the city, specifically related to education-related traffic.
Mm-hmm.
While Carl was working to hire an engineer to design, create plans, and implement the 4th Street gate system, we also got no-through traffic signs installed on 4th Street already. Again, first step in the process. And we started making other requests of this commission to pass resolutions to get additional signs set in place throughout western side of the city, dealing specifically with educational-related traffic. The Transportation Master Plan, we went out to bid for. We went through the regular bid process to go through this. Again, we're sitting on the committee tomorrow. We're using our new bonfire system, which is a new procurement tool. Hopefully, it'll make our process easier.
When do you expect to have an engineer for us to approve? Or do we have to approve? Can you just pick them and move on?
I'll look at Mark, but it's my understanding that, like, again, there's members of the committee in the room here, so I know I don't want to do anything to hurt myself here, but at the same time.
Mr. Attorney, does it have to come back to the city commission, or can they pick somebody and move on?
They will make a recommendation to the commission to make the selection.
Okay, and will that be at the next meeting? Will we have the recommendation then?
The meeting is tomorrow. I don't know, do you think we can get it on the 2nd, Mark? I know our deadline for the 2nd is tomorrow, because we have a holiday on Monday.
It's been 5 months.
Mark Gomes, Procurement Director. So as Mike mentioned, tomorrow we have the Evaluation Committee meeting, and tomorrow is our deadline for the next agenda. We can put the item on. That normally is for the City Commission to approve the Evaluation Committee's recommendation. So our plan is to have that on for your next meeting, and then after that, it would be the negotiation of the contract with the vendor that's selected and approved by the City Commission.
Let's go. This needs to get done while we're still young.
Okay. Anything further?
Again, Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner Schwartz.
may I defer to Commissioner Seipel, and then I'll have my question.
Excuse me?
Okay, Chief, question, I don't want to blindside you with this. Commissioner Seipel did an excellent job providing video of the conditions that are going on out there that led up to this point. What's the current status from the traffic unit, say within the last 2 to 3 weeks? Oh, Mr. Stan may have that information.
I've got the data.
See that? I wasn't sure.
Sorry.
See, I wanted to ask the right guy, but he just deferred it back to you, so that's fine.
Actually, I would like for Mr. Sam, if he would go through his timeline.
Okay, hold on one
which may
second.
answer
I have
questions.
a Commissioner,
if it's okay, I'm gonna answer Commissioner Schwartz's question first, and then I'll.
Mr. Stan, before you, I don't want you to jump ahead, because Commissioner Seipel, this is something.
Commissioner Schwartz, you're on the floor, and let him answer, please.
So as part of the report that we presented on 10/6, we asked for enhanced enforcement. PD provided direct comments on each one of the schools that were in question, and we looked at all of the schools west of basically 178th Avenue. The police department, we've been regularly getting information from the traffic unit. Sergeant Dalton regularly updates me, and I'm actually in the process of actually drafting the second revision to the report. However, the item was on the agenda, so we wanted to be prepared. To date, the traffic unit has issued 53 citations to the area around Silver Trail Middle School. So from 10/1, when we really started the enhanced enforcement, to today, to January 31st, we've issued 53 citations to the area around Silver Trail Middle School. Those violations included stopping, standing, and parking where prohibited, blocking driveways, speeding in a school zone, and violation of traffic control device, parking violations, and stopping within 20 feet of a crosswalk. While I'm talking about Silver Trail Middle, we also made a request of Broward County Traffic, who reevaluated the lights and signalization in that area because we found that there was a problem there. Pines Charter West, this one hurts a little bit here, but 182 citations were issued from 10/1 through the 31st, 182 citations around Pines Charter West, very similar violations. Somerset Academy North, we only had 1 citation. One of the things that's noted in Somerset North, obviously, which is on Johnson and 208, is that it's just slow traffic. It's just volume, not necessarily traffic violations. Franklin Academy South, which is on Pines Boulevard between 196 and 184, we had 28 violations. Improper lane change, blocking intersections and crosswalks, no stopping, standing, et cetera. West Broward High, 0 citations, again, more that's just traffic volume. And then Chapel Trail Elementary, we had jaywalking violations and stop sale violations. There was 3 of those. So we've been tracking the schools west of 178 in anticipation, and again, my plan was to bring it in on March 16th, which put me at about 180 days since my original report come back with you with the current updates. There are other items that we've been working on since. As you know, the commission approved parking lot improvements for our charter schools, so we're working on the Pines Charter West parking lot circulation improvement, which will reduce circulation timing. We also, I wish Mr. Dickerson was still here, but he's the representation for Somerset, who hired Kimley Horn to reevaluate their entire traffic operation analysis. I do need to state for the record that the ability for people to hire outside consultants right now is incredibly challenging. We are seeing major delays with getting reports back from engineering firms on a variety of things. That's why sometimes we're not seeing the same amount of time in terms of, like, our P&Z agendas have been a little bit lighter lately because we're not getting the turn back on engineering services and planning services out there. It was my intention to bring back a full updated report to the commission for the March 16th agenda, again, but I just wanted to be prepared for tonight because Commissioner Castillo had some requests pertaining to 4th Street and the traffic operation plan.
Mr. Stam, the signage that was put up on 4th.
Yes, sir.
You had mentioned a number of citations, but from a time period standpoint, in the last 30 days, were there citations issued?
There's been citation issues continuously through this time frame.
So enforcement's continuing, and the signage that was put up had some relief along with the traffic enforcement. There's been some relief. We haven't solved the entire issue, but to say that there's been no traffic relief would be an unfactual statement. Is that correct?
So I would say it like this. On October 6th, we came to commission with some short, medium, and long-term solutions. Our traffic committee, in conjunction with the police department, has attempted to tackle the short-term solutions because we knew we could do those quick. We've made requests for additional signage to aid the police department in enforcement. At the same time, my staff, the traffic unit, Carl, and engineering, we're out on the street looking and observing the traffic. If there's one thing that came out of this more than anything, and I know I'm not answering your question, but I need to answer it this way, is that we've also fostered better relationships with some of our principals and some of our operators. Just today, I got an email from Franklin Academy. We observed a problem where the parents were queuing up even earlier. Their operator, who deals with the 2 campuses in our city, he responded to me today. They're moving their security around. They're going to put people on the ground. I think the challenge, as it pertains to school-related traffic, is that we're dealing with a post-COVID situation. We have seen bus ridership going up. Somerset Academy is due to provide me with their next bus update on March the 1st. They have told me that they're up over their 40% as of today. So obviously that will show some sort of relief. Franklin Academy obviously has said the same items. They said that their bus ridership is up, which obviously provides big traffic relief when for every time you fill a bus, there's 20 or 50 cars coming off the road. We are seeing that increase, but it's a slow increase. But as COVID numbers go down, we're seeing that. The biggest issue with all of this is behavior. And behavior is clearly fixed with the police department and issuing citations. When you issue 184 citations, I think Sergeant Martin's out there. I'm sure she's part of those citations on 184th. That starts to change behavior. So has there been traffic relief? Possibly. Has there been changes in behavior? Definitely. But the police department cannot possibly be at every single school for every single moment to observe these things. So we need these other elements in place, i.e. signage to deter the behavior, and then also guide and enforcement.
Okay, so Mayor, I'll conclude like this. If I could be helpful in any way, I am over that area, drive time, like school, both early and afternoon, just about every day of the week. And if you need video, just let me know, and it will be at my cost. But I want to get this thing solved. Okay, I see what's happening. Okay, I am seeing some relief. Now, granted, we do have the enforcement part. We do also know that with these relationships, that there is a large population of students that do not live here in the city of Pembroke Pines. and it's creating massive choke problems down Pines Boulevard and the surrounding area. So buses don't fix that situation when we have students coming from other counties or east of University. Buses don't drop those kids off. So we need to get an inventory of how many cars and if the school board can help us, if the charter operators can help us and give us a percentage of that, I think it would be tremendously helpful, so we can move forward. But again, thank you, Mr. Stam, Mr. Kennedy, our traffic unit, and everyone involved. I think we are moving into a better place, and I'm looking forward to whatever you're doing tomorrow. And thank you, Mayor.
If we put up these signs, we guarantee the car's not gonna knock them over.
We all know that there's someone doing that out there, but I know the police department's on it.
All right, thank you very much. Further discussion?
Yes, Mayor?
Commissioner Seifert, quickly?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I guess I want to thank Commissioner Castillo for bringing this item forward, because I really want to have the opportunity to really let everyone know exactly what has been happening out there, because there are a number of things that have happened there. And, I'm not a person who is offended very easily, because I can kind of hang with the best of you on things. But I really am offended at the statement of it's been months and residents have seen no traffic relief, when in fact, this is in District 4, what we're talking about, and for years, there has been nothing done out there, except a lot of, let me do a resolution, I'm sorry I asked, but nothing happened. But there have been no items placed on the agenda that actually ended up in action being taken for something to happen. When I was asked by residents to see if there was something I could do to help them at a HOA meeting, I responded yes, that I would. The very next day, Mr. Sam, Mr. Dodge, you and I had conversations about how do we get this started. This is the problem out there, and what do we do to look at this, not only just as we started in the West, because that is truly where we were hearing the most of the complaints about traffic. But for me, it was not just about what do we do in the West. It was, we have traffic issues all throughout the city that need to be looked at in a very comprehensive way, so that when we take on projects, we're looking to the future, that we don't have to go back and redo or say, gee, I wish we had done it a little bit better and have not put enough time into it. So I just wanted to, a couple of things. We started, there was a special, we called it a special commission meeting, but it really wasn't. It was September 13th. And there was a presentation here in the chambers by staff on potential long-term road widening solutions. We were talking about road widenings, extending queue lanes, adding queue lanes. There was a community meeting that I called for on September 21st out at the River Grass Theater that was residents from all of the HOAs out in the West area attended, and some of our schools, Somerset was there, Franklin folks were there, and so they were there to hear this presentation and to understand that going forward, we were very determined to come up with some solutions. We got a lot of good public comments that night. I know city attorney was there, city manager was there, and a number of good comments that came out after the meeting. We then, a school traffic mitigation committee was formed by administration, which was Mr. Stam, Mr. Kennedy, Ms. Sorensen, Captain Zegas, Captain Wolford, and Dalton were on this committee. The City Commission, we directed the City Attorney's Office and the City Administration to take actions regarding legally authorized temporary and permanent limitations on the use of Northwest 4th Street, including the preparation of resolutions. City Attorney Cirillo clarified that there would be 2 resolutions, one pertaining to temporary closure that would be road-specific, and the other would also be road-specific but would provide language that could be expanded to other locations in the city, which was, again, my thought of making it a citywide traffic plan. those two things were passed. Those resolutions were passed. Here, I just want to read some of the notes that I have here. On 9/29, there was a meeting with the Pines Charter West, with the principal, the SROs, and staff to discuss Pembroke Road expansion and the new circulation plan that we were looking at for that area. The community in Cantata that backs right up to the school was having a lot of difficulty with being blocked in, and because of the school traffic and everything that was happening there. So a lot of work went into, Mr. Sam, you and Mr. Kennedy and the staff went into look at the actual physical makeup of the school and how could plans be done to improve that traffic. You all, yes.
The administration at Pines Charter West, Principal Castellanos, had been getting inquiries regarding the Pembroke Road expansion and the users that would be impacted. So Principal Castellanos, knowing that we were working on this, asked us to join in those conversations along with members of the police department and their SROs to expand that conversation. You know, that was happening kind of simultaneously while we were looking at this, and then, you know, right shortly thereafter is when the commission held the second meeting with the Encantada community.
Correct. That was after that, and there were a number of residents from Encantada, and I thought it was a good night of discussion. But out of that came a plan that, unfortunately, we were told that we were going to try to get it done during the winter break for school. But there were some complications on that. But it is my understanding, Mr. Dodge, that is to be done in March or April, spring break, and that will be done to give relief to those residents and those folks that drive out that way. The other, like you said, Kimley Horn, Somerset hired Kimley Horn Engineering to come in to look at their two campus locations, the north location and also the south location. We know what the issues were on the north location with 208 and all of that, and we are dealing with that. The south location was a little bit different and a little bit unique in that folks were lining up on 196th Avenue to come into the school. Oh, I guess you didn't want to hear the rest of it. To come into the school, and what it was doing was causing an unsafe situation there, because it is just a one lane each way. And the many times that I sat out there in our own parking lot or off the old road that's there, is I would see cars that would be lined up on 196 heading north wanting to go into the school. Folks that were in that lane that didn't want to go into the school and wanted to just get to Pines Boulevard were cutting out of the line and now having head-on traffic because there are cars that are coming to the south. There's water on either side of that, and it's very, very dangerous. So that was a huge concern of mine, and that's when I first brought up to city manager and to you all that could we not work out some way with Somerset that we would use our city soccer parking a lot in order to queue, you know, the morning and the afternoon.
Point of order, Mayor.
To queue up.
Point of order, Commissioners Castillo.
My item was a discussion and possible action regarding the status of commission-directed gates at Fourth Street between 202 and 208, and the status of hiring an engineer.
I'm getting to that.
Because it's been months and months, and we've seen no traffic relief with respect to those items. That's all. This was not, I did not bring an item to, but I welcome at another time a larger conversation about all these other things, but that's not what I brought.
Well, you did ask and make the statement that residents have
Well,
seen
that's
no
how they
relief
feel.
for months and months.
Commissioner Seifel, please continue.
You can argue with them.
I'm giving relief. I'm giving them.
You go ahead, argue with them.
Commissioner Castillo, please.
Yes.
Please.
Actually, I don't argue with anybody.
Stop.
Okay. So Kimley Horn was hired to look at the Somerset for the city parking lot to see if there wasn't some way that we could use that parking lot during morning and afternoons to queue up the cars, get them off of 196th Avenue. And it's my understanding that they are looking at that. We have had discussions with them, and we are looking at trying to come up with that option for that to happen. Again, all of this goes back to resident traffic safety, but I'm going to tell you, especially it goes back for me to child and student health and safety, because there were some very dangerous situations happening there. For example, Chapel Trail Elementary School. I sent Mr. Dodge on several different occasions videos that I took sitting on the west side of the road where parents had parked their car there, had gotten out of their car to cross over to the school, and actually oncoming cars were there, and they were putting their hands up to stop the traffic themselves in the middle of the street. Now, not only did that happen, but then when they went in and picked up little Jimmy or little Susie, they were coming back out with them, and again, putting their hands up in the air, stopping traffic so that they could cross back over the west side with their child. That can't be. That can't be. That was a huge red flag for me. You all have worked on, and Mr. Dodge, everybody has worked on the PD. You've been involved in it. Can't thank you enough for that. Mr. Kennedy, there are steps that have to happen in order for us to put these safeguards, this health and safety issues into place. You all are doing that. So to say that nothing has been done is just so not true. That traffic, to hire, you were given direction to hire a traffic engineer consultant to help devise this whole entire plan. That was in middle part of October, I believe, that we first talked about that. Mr. Sam, could you again tell us a little bit where we are with that?
Mr. Sam?
Sorry, I got my notes here, Commissioner. Yeah, so the commission approved the procurement. We went out to bid. We closed the bid back in December. We got all the people there, and then we've gone through the process to set up the committee. We are using our new system, Bonfire, and again, Mark can talk about Bonfire at another later date, but we're reviewing the program and the applicants for the Transportation Master Plan through Bonfire, and we'll have both meetings tomorrow. And as Mark alluded to, Mr. Gomes, excuse me, we hope to have an item on the March 2nd agenda with a recommendation so the manager can negotiate that contract.
Thank you. And specifically, it was directed for placement of traffic arms on the north and south side of Northwest 4th Street at the 202 Avenue monument sign location that will not allow westbound traffic on Northwest 4th from like 7 to 8:30, the times to be determined on that Monday through Friday, or school days, whatever the school days would be. Also, placing traffic arms at Northwest 4th Street at 208 that will not allow the eastbound, during those same hours. Residents, there was to be worked out how residents would have a barcode to be able to get through and all of that. It's my understanding that on the east side, where the monument sign and all that is an easier fix for us to do, and that's been in the works to have the gates there a little bit to the west of the monument. But as far as being on the other side, the west side coming in, there is some discussion that I have with Mr. Kennedy, some discussion going on as to the distance of where it would actually be placed, and I do believe that a couple of the associations have talked about what they would prefer, those two associations that are there. So I think that's moving along for that to happen. I understand the gate arms, things have been ordered, those kind of things, and it's just now the placement of where it actually will go for that. Franklin Academy to the north. Again, there were some issues and some problems that were there with, again, a street, parking on the street, parking in the swales, not getting off the street and therefore blocking all of the traffic that was there. You just said tonight that, earlier, that you have had good, productive conversations with their, I'm going to call it their property manager, but whatever his title is, for both of their locations, not just the one north by the Trails community, but also the one on Pines Boulevard, as far as how they are going to go forward with their plans for traffic and how they're going to work with us on the north end to get the cars off the road. So I think that's huge progress. That's what we're looking for, is how do we work with these schools and communities to make it safe out there. So I think a lot of progress really has been made. We put out for someone to this whole master traffic plan, and you've kind of put some things together for us and given us some drafts on stuff, but it's gonna come, after that studying and everything is done, that we would then be provided, with that.
Commissioner, can you wrap up?
I am there. I just have one or two more that I'd like to, bring forward if I could. Signs, as you said, signs on 196, they're already up in Mr. Kennedy with the Broward County to get, the stopping and standing, which then, of course, then that enables our PD to actually perform what they want to do, which is write tickets, and they would, say UTC compliant, so they're going to stand up, that they are. Broward County said that they were warranted on the west side. Mayor, I think out of my notes, I have other notes, but I just want to say that, I could go through a lot more, but what I just want to say is that since September, October, when I first placed this item on the agenda for us to start looking at this traffic, not just me, but for all of us to have an input into this, because I pushed always that it was a citywide issue. While we started in the west, we were looking to, keep moving to the east so that we would include every community that had an issue and how we would be dealing with that. So, again, I want to say that, while I put my name on the item to come forward, I was not doing it just as Commissioner Seipel. I was hopefully doing it as the Pembroke Pines City Commission, all of us working together to make sure that we do the best for our residents and that we keep them safe out there on the road, that we work with these agencies, and that most importantly, we keep our kids safe out there on the roads when they're going to and from school, and parents driving them to and from school. A lot of talk about busing and all of that, and you know what? If busing becomes the thing again, which I hope it would, I do hope that would be, that's fine. And some of these problems may be lessened, but in the meantime, they have to be dealt with because they are actual problems that are happening. So again, like I say, I appreciate the item being here. I appreciate the opportunity to say, what actually has been done, because this item makes it look like it's doomsday and nothing has been done, when the exact opposite is true. There is a lot of work that has been done. I will continue pushing, and I know and I hope that my colleagues, but I feel very sure that my colleagues will stand with me on this, because it is a very good item. So, Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this.
Further discussion. Anybody else have anything? Then let's adjourn. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day, evening.